Wargaming strategy this week is to recycle content, and today's update news video looks at the extras in addition to the new Cold War tanks that we looked at yesterday. We'll look at the actual in-game stats later on in the video, but let's get into the challenges and event that are going on this week, where you can pick up a free tank within the game. However, this is a free tank that everyone, if you've played 2021 World of Tanks console, then you've probably already got it, and that is the Paladin Carnarvon Action X heavy tank. And that was the original heavy tank premium that they released last year as part of an earn operation. Now you can get this year, and it's available for just under a month, and so you'll be able to actually get your hands on this. It's 4 weeks, and you have to complete 3 out of 4 weeks of stages of challenges. Now these challenges are unbelievably easy. You basically have to complete a variety of different tasks. They're really easy, to be honest with you. You'll get it done very, very quickly if you play the game at all. And the first week, this week, for the Paladin challenge is the winner battle in the first stage. So basically play a couple of games, you'll probably win one. The secondary stage is therefore deal and assist at least 1000 damage in a battle 10 times. So that's going to be easily to be able to do if you do have a tier 10. So you want to be playing tier 10 if you want to just to purely complete this challenge as quickly as possible. And for completing all of these, you basically get some discounts on the Paladin Carnarvon Action X if you don't already want to get it. You also get some vehicle XP boosters and commander XP boosters, which are always going to be very nice for you to be able to obtain within the game. That's going to boost up your basic rate at which you can earn a lot of the tanks within the game, so that's always good. And it's going to be very easy. Deal 25,000 damage or more in any number of battles. So essentially, you know, if you're basically dealing 1,000 damage a game, you're going to be able to complete it in 25 games. I mean, very easily. Obviously, that's going to how it works. But yeah, I think for completing this challenge and doing it as fast as possible, you'll basically want to play the highest tier vehicle you can possibly do. And alternatively, since it is available for Cold War mode, you could alternatively just play Cold War, because yeah, if you've got anything above the post-war era, you can typically do more damage per game, because obviously you do more damage and you have more hit points in your vehicle. So that's the way to complete it, and I don't know if that's Wargaming's secret little tactic to boost people onto the Cold War mode again and get them started and playing it. Don't know, but I guess we'll just have to gloss over it. But yes, essentially it's a recycled tank that you could have earned last year, and so for any of you veterans or players that have been playing for a while, yeah, not particularly the best free monthly tank to be seeing within World of Tanks console, and I would have much rather that they actually chose a vehicle that none of us have to be able to play. Obviously, as part of the British invasion season, we also have Mastery of the Hunt, and with this new update comes 3 different tank bundles. We'll have a look at what they are, and also these operations here where you can earn premium time and also a lot of silver actually. So how do you actually do this? Well, you basically have to play in a variety of different classes. Depending on what you want to actually play will depend upon what rewards you receive. You can obviously, with this, be able to complete light tanks, tank destroyers, or Mastery of the Hunt, which is essentially completing all the stages in both light tanks and tank destroyers on the hunt. And this is in kind of coinciding with the tank destroyers and the British light tanks that have been released in Cold War, including the FV 4005 Stage 2 once again being re-released. Once again, another recycling of content going on. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but anyway, regardless of that, the operation will give you 500,000 silver and a day of premium, 1 million silver and a day of premium, and then 1 million silver and a day of premium, so totaling 2.5 million silver and 3 days of premium for essentially just assisting with 40,000 or more damage due to you spotting, 20 or more vehicles being detected, and 10,000 or more damage due to you spotting vehicles in any number of battles. And so if you can do any of that and complete all of them, you'll be able to get that 2.5 million silver, which is really nice to boost you up for a passive kind of way of doing it. And so yeah, you will have to play light tanks to be able to do it. It is available for both Cold War and World War II, so you'll be able to play either one, and you cannot play co-op mode on Cold War, unfortunately, if you want to complete it. Then we have the tank destroyers. It's essentially the same sort of thing where you can earn 2.5 million silver and 3 days of premium. You also then get 50,000 or more damage in any number of battles, 40 or more vehicles destroyed, and 125,000 or more damage in any number of battles in the third stage. So they are consecutive stages at which you have to complete, and so yeah, you'll be able to do it fairly quickly, and considering you have quite a long time, you've got just over a month, in fact 5 weeks roughly, until the end of the season to be able to do this, you'll probably be able to do it, and that will grant you 5 million silver within the game and 6 days of premium. And then if you complete both of them, you will be able to receive the Klimov 3D Premium Commander, and this will give you an additional XP bonus to your Commander XP every single game if you want to use him. Obviously use Premium Commanders if you do have them available, because they do earn more XP and they'll be able to train up much faster than normal ones. In addition, 2 times silver boosters, you'll get 5 of them and a day of premium, totaling 7 days of premium, 5 times 2 silver boosters, a premium commander, and 5 million silver. In addition to the bonus operations that you can complete within World of Tanks, there is also a on-track event for the Russian line within World of Tanks, in which you can earn discounts of all tanks within the Russian tech tree, including premium tanks, I believe, as well. So you'll be able to pick up quite a lot of discounts in terms of grinding your way through. That's available for all Russian tanks within the tech tree, and so you'll gain an extra 25% bonus experience when playing any tank leading to a tier 10 Russian tank, as well as being able to earn the discounts. And these discounts range from 50% between tiers 3 and tiers 7 essentially. At tier 7 then you get a 30% discount all the way up to tier 10, so it's a fantastic time to purchase some of these tanks that maybe you haven't actually ever purchased or owned within World of Tanks. And you can see, just for me personally, I haven't bought the T62A yet, and maybe I'll be able to grind out some silver on Cold War and be able to do that very easily. And so yes, it is a fantastic time to grind some of the tank lines. The key tank lines that I would recommend within the Russian tech tree, if you're wondering about tank lines to go down, the IS-7 is a fantastic one, the Object 277 is a fantastic one, and in order to actually maximize the amount of tanks that you can get in one go, I would recommend going down the kind of IS line, because you can essentially swap between the IS to the IS-3, and then you have the option to go to the 257, and then you can have the option of both the IS-7, the Object 277 and the Object 705A. So this is a really good way of going down, and the IS is actually a really good tank within the game. So yeah, it's definitely the way to go, and obviously make sure that you go for some of the mediums, and I really like the Object 430U. I know I don't have it unlocked, but I have played it before, and so yes, a really good tank as well, and obviously one of my favourites, the Object 268. Hopping back over to the info and the news, we have keycards being refreshed once again, so you can get a whole new host of different keycard tanks within there. So essentially all of the tanks that were available within the drop rate percentages have all been changed, so no longer can you get the old set, and so they're all new. So if you're interested in purchasing keycards, which are probably the best way if you've played the game for any length of time to purchase gold within the game, then yeah, I guess that you should be doing that if you are wanting to spend money. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't really recommend spending an inordinate amount on this game, but it's up to you as to where you spend your money. But keycards definitely are the way to go, plus they're a bit of fun to open. Talking about spending money on the game, if you want to spend a decent amount to get some substantial rewards, spending the $9.99 on the monthly content this month will grant you the T-34-88, one of the best Soviet medium tanks at tier 6, if not the best medium tank at tier 6. It just has a fantastic gun that you can really pack a punch with, and in this update you definitely want to be getting your hands on it, since you got such good accuracy and you can have really good reload, and basically the whole tank becomes super OP almost at tier 6. Definitely a really strong tank that you want to be getting. Plus you get 850 gold and 3 days of premium and 1.5 times silver boosters as well, and you get 10 of those. So yeah, a pretty decently priced bundle for what you're getting in general. Now, as talked about, we also have the weekly sales this week, which will be able to get you a couple of different tanks. But as we've talked about, I think Wargaming is starting to move away from selling a lot of the premium tanks on a massive discount. I know last week and for the last couple of weeks, we've had the 40% off all premium tanks within the premium tech tree, but I just don't think it's enough. And I think that the key thing that we're seeing here is that they're releasing good premium tanks and then combining them with some of the worst not worst tanks, but low tier tanks that you wouldn't really recommend buying. Although the FCM 36 Pack 40 is one of the most overpowered tier 3s within the game, having broken view range, or 400 meters view range on a tier 3. What on earth are you thinking, Wargaming, and selling it? It's just a travesty, to be honest with you. But the Vanguard EOC even 90 is worth the 4,850 gold that you can get with it anyway, plus you're getting this broken tier 3 that you'll probably only play twice, because who wants to actually play tier 3, even if you are in one of the most broken tanks in the game, because it's just not fun. Then of course we get the tier 7 AMX Chaffee, which is quite possibly one of the worst tier 7 light tanks in the game. Yeah, you'll get the people that say, oh no, it can play quite well, and yes, I've had a game that was literally the highest amount of XP I've ever earned in the AMX Chaffee when I was trying to showcase that it was a terrible tank. We ended up having something like 2,900 base experience in the tank, but just because that happened doesn't mean the tank is actually any good. It's terrible in the majority of situations. You have a autoloader which is just worse than the majority of other tier 7 light tanks, and you've also got basically the health points of a tier 6 light tank, because essentially the AMX Chaffee used to be a tier 6 that then got moved up to tier 7 when they introduced the +2, -2 for light tanks, because previously, before that, if you've ever played World of Tanks, I think probably pre-2017, they used to have +3 -2 matchmaking, so you could essentially play 3 tiers higher than the vehicle that you were actually playing in as a light tank. In combination with the AMX Chaffee, you also get the Cromwell Snakebite, which is one of the best tier 6 light tanks. It can go literally 90 kilometers an hour in a medium tank. Yeah, just utterly bonkers, and you can skid around the map as much as you want. Yeah, one of the fun tanks, and definitely a fun tank at that. Then we have the Hidden and Devastating bundle, where you can pick up the Audace Cannon de Assault de 105 tank destroyer, and this is a really, really good tank destroyer, underrated 100% within World of Tanks. And you also get my favourite tank in the entire game, the Excalibur, the tier 6 tank destroyer, and the only tank I've managed to get 4 marks on. Granted, I haven't actually gone for 4 marks in anything since, but yeah, a tank that is utterly so much fun. It's not necessarily the most overpowered tank. You're probably not going to be able to be top on damage every single game in this tank. It is not an overpowered one, but one that you can use really well if you know how to use camo and you know how to use DPM and the high fire rate guns. And so yes, I would recommend it for any of you veteran players or someone that's been playing for a little bit of time. Now, in combination with the deals, we've also got the super savings, or the personal offers as Wargaming once called them, and these give you 50% discount on the tanks featured, and that is the tier 6 Sherman Firefly Boilermaker medium tank, which I wouldn't really recommend purchasing for 50% off, and then quite possibly a tank that can be used well in the AMX 1357, but if you're new to the game, or you're new to light tanks, or essentially you want a solid light tank that isn't going to be super situational, then the AMX 1357 is definitely not the one for you. It really is one of those very situational tanks that, yes, you can have good games, but the majority of games you won't be able to do that. Now it's time to check out the new Cold War vehicles and the in-game statistics, and tell you which ones are actually going to be good within the game and whether or not it's actually worth grinding your way through them. Of course, if you want to purchase the FV101, the new light tank within Cold War, and this is in the post-war era, so you'll be able to get it very, very quickly, especially if you've got the Centurion 2, you'll be able to get this really easily, 124,000 XP, and alternatively you can use your free XP in a way to advance it as well. This tank gets 250 damage with only 90 penetration, so you're going to find it very difficult to be able to pen a lot of the tanks that you come coming up against, and if you want to load the premium ammunition or the standard ammunition, you're going to really have a struggle to pen anything with only 48mm of penetration. You do have a shot per clip, which is essentially a one shot in the clip, so there is no autoloader on this tank, and so yes, you have 90 pen and 250 alpha coming up against tanks like the Conway, which, yeah, you'll be able to pen really easily, but you'll also be coming up against tanks like the Centurion 5/1, which is going to be very painful to come up against, I can assure you that. So the Scorpion, although being an interesting one, is probably not going to be super overpowered. However, 80 kilometers an hour may just run rings around the opponents, and maybe you'll have to be super engaging with this tank, and so just going round to the back of tanks is going to be the only real way to actually win with a tank like this. Then we have the FE-107 Scimitar, the second era, well, not second era, but the second tank within the post-war era, and this is a tank that gets the increased penetration, but you then get super low alpha damage, and this one has an autoloader, so you have a 6-shot autoloader with 0.25 seconds between the burst, and this is a burst gun, so you'll be dealing 6 kind of bursts of this rounds, which is going to be interesting. You'll definitely be able to burst out a lot of damage, and what you want to be playing this tank like is getting in behind the opponents that you'll be facing to be able to really deal the damage super quickly into them, and that's the way that you want to play this tank. Obviously, I don't know how it's going to play within the game. We'll have to get our hands on it and see whether it is any good. Obviously, with this update, we also got the new tank destroyers within Cold War, and that is the Charioteer A, the Conway, and the FE-4005. And yes, the FE-4005 still has the standard alpha damage that we see within World War II, so no, you don't get that broken alpha damage. As much as I would have loved to see it within the game, unfortunately, you still can't play with it. And even the HE rounds don't have the 1650 alpha that you'd want, like we do on the World War II mode. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit painful to play, especially when you're coming up against some of the newer tanks within the game. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but probably a solid way to go. And of course, you can use this route instead of some of the other ones where you go with a light tank maybe to get the Centurion 9, which is the second era tank within this line. Of course, then the new next tank that you can pick up is the Scorpion 90, and this is of course the light tank with 299mm of penetration, so you'll have more than enough to be able to penetrate a lot of the enemy tanks that you'll be meeting, and 290 premium penetration, 180 HE damage, and so yeah, you'll still be able to deal a consistent amount of damage. How does the actual gun statistics of the vehicle rack up? Well, you do have a standard single shot gun, so there is no autoloader with this tank, so yeah, it's going to be a single shotter, and so I don't know how I feel about these new light tanks. 72 kilometers an hour make you significantly faster than a lot of the other tanks at the tier. However, are you going to be better than the American light tanks in the Stingray and all of the additional tanks? Well, I don't know, but you have to kind of weigh that up. Do you want the lower alpha damage but faster and more kind of mobile tank, or are you going to want the heavy hitter in the Stingray? It's completely up to you. Let me know in the comment section down below which tanks are you going to be going for, and with the highest tier British light tank within the game being the Vickers FMC VFM5, and this is a tank that can go 70 kilometers an hour forward. You've got a single shotgun as with the previous ones, which can deal a pretty substantial amount of damage, 480 damage at the Detente era within Cold War, and so yes, I think that this is going to be a very fun one if you can manage to get there. The armor model looks kind of like a boat. It's almost like playing the AMX-30 if you've ever played the duck tank in the French tank line on the World War II mode. It kind of looks a little bit like that, not entirely, but it's interesting, and it's kind of like I guess like the Stingray version for the British line, if we compare it to anything else within Cold War. So there we go, the British light tank line, the tank destroyers. What do you think about Wargaming recycling the FE-4005, the Conway, the Charioteer all back into the game and calling them kind of new tanks? What do you think, and would you rather have seen all of these new tanks be released at tier 11, 12 and 13 like we talked about in the previous video? Of course, let me know in the comment section down below, and you should check out the other videos on the channel, checking out gameplay and ways that you can make the game feel really fun, even when sometimes you think that the game can't get very fun. Other than that, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and you join me back in another video coming soon. Goodbye.